Hello, spooky friends, and welcome to hopefully a successful Storytime episode with the Scarish podcast.
Woo! That's a weird intro.
I'm Robin Grace. This is Adam Diaz.
Hello.
And we're here to read you guys some scary stories, hopefully.
Indeed we are. Like Robin said, we've had some technical difficulties in previous episodes. However, we had technicians come out. We swapped out our modem. We tested it last night, and it seemed like it was going to be good to go. And I'm looking down here, and it seems like we haven't started melting down quite yet. So we'll see what happens with that. Fingers crossed it stays doing okay. But thank you to all of you who are joining us. Who are joining us over there at twitch.tv/scarishpodcast or youtube.com/scarish. And thank you to all those folks who are listening to this in the regular podcast form. We appreciate every single one of you.
Yeah.
And to prove that we appreciate you, we are going to read some of the stories that you have sent us, and we call those homegrown horrors. Robin, what's a homegrown horror?
That was the longest.
I am out of breath.
Pause.
I had to sprint up the stairs. This is as close as we have ever cut it. What are homegrown horrors?
Homegrown horrors are these stories that you, lovely spooky friends, have decided to share with us. And they could be paranormal experiences, night terror type demon nightmare things.
Get a lot of sleep paralysis stuff, too.
Yeah. Lots of spiritual stuff I think is really cool. People have had stories where you've had closure in your dreams by having like conversations with loved ones that have passed and things like that. So ask your friends, ask your family. I'm sure they do have these scariest stories.
The concept behind the podcast before we started it is like everyone has a ghost story, you know? And they don't necessarily have to be actual ghosts. It can be just experiences where you went like, as I call it, Scooby-Dooing, when you went to go check something out, or something coincidental where, you know what, you thought it was a ghost, turns out it was your brother flipping on and off a light switch. We got one of those one time.
Yeah,
it was
great.
hilarious. It was really good. So we want to thank everyone who has joined us like we already did.
Thank you so much for subscribing.
Shout out to Cat Beatrix for the third month in a row resubscribed. Just a little spoiler, we're going to read one of your stories
we have
tonight.
One of your stories, so it'll be cool.
We have 3 each, which I'm not a scientist or a mathematician or anything, but that equals 6. We said if the stream was doing poorly, we'd do 4. We seem to be doing okay, so we're going to do the full 6.
Yeah, it'll be, I guess, an extra long episode to make up for the really short episodes these past 2 weeks. So it'll be good. So this first email here is going to be from Madison. It goes, "Hey, Adam and Robin."
Hello.
Hey, I'm Madison, and I live in Midwest Indiana. Is that like where you're from?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, kind of. I'm from Northwest Indiana.
Oh, okay.
Shout out to Vegas WLG, who just followed and subscribed.
Thank you so much.
On Twitch Prime. Thank you. We appreciate you.
I found the podcast on Spotify. Shout out to Spotify. It's in the email. You guys know me. I don't normally say that. That's all Adam. But I've listened to every episode. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, to tell you my story, let me give you some background info. I grew up on a farm in Indiana where I was raised by my grandparents. I adore my grandparents, and without them, I don't know where I would be. My grandparents are deeply religious, Pentecostal to be exact. I don't know the difference, so I'm just going to say...
I know the difference between some sects of religions and Christianity, but I don't know about a Pentecostal, so no big deal.
I'm not sure. All I know is I went to Catholic school, and I don't even know what kind of Catholic. So... That's
what kind of Catholic?
Yeah. Aren't there different kinds?
I mean, there's different, organizations within the Catholic Church.
Oh, but they're all the same?
I mean, they just all call themselves Catholics for the most part.
All right.
It's not, we're not going to get into some Dan Brown shit where I'm just like, and these are the ones who hid the secrets. I mean, most Catholics call themselves Catholics as far as I know. So.
It's under the Louvre or whatever that place is. What?
I think you said it right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not even going to try. So I think you nailed it.
So I was raised that way. So grandparents, Pentecostal. They were raised Pentecostal. Cool. We went to church at least 3 times a week. That is so much church. Like so much church. Which was an hour drive both ways.
Wow, that's a lot of your life dedicated to
driving.
Worship. Yeah.
Well,
I was gonna say worship, but
it's 6-hour drive, and then you're probably at church for an hour. So
maybe longer depending on what you're going to do.
It's quite a bit of time dedicated to it. That's cool. My papa would say anything that you thought is paranormal was really demons tempting your faith. I think that's a normal thing when it comes to...
I think a lot of people tend to assume that if something scary happens, it's got to be a demon. But I mean, if you believe in like angels or guardian spirits, like if there's no way for them to contact you without you being like, oh, hell no, you a demon. Like why would they ever try and contact you? Like to even give you a sign in your darkest moments. So I don't know. try and not get scared and keep an open mind. That said, I scream like a girl if I see a spider. No disrespect to girls. I just get really high and really, really terrified very fast.
I liked that video someone posted in the Facebook group of spider pranks, and everyone somehow is an acrobat. Like, when they see the spider.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's
I know
incredible.
what you're talking about. What she means by spider pranks is someone puts down a fake spider next to someone out there in, like, the real world. It's a stranger, and when they notice that there's this fake spider behind them that actually moves and is terrifying looking, people do insane stuff to get away. There was a guy at a urinal, and rather than run out the door of the bathroom, he, like, started climbing up the urinal. I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen another human being do, but I don't know. I'm scared of spiders, too. I don't know how I would react.
Yeah. Here it goes. This is back to the story now. One night, I got up at 3 a.m. Side note, I wake up every night between 3 and 3:30 a.m. That's crazy and strange. And maybe it's just your body's used to going pee. I don't know.
My body's starting to get used to getting up at 6 a.m. now, so I'm starting to wake up right around. I have woken up the last 3 nights at 5:50 a.m., and my alarm goes off at 6. So I wake up, and I'm like, how much time do I have left? And I look at my phone. I'm like, fuck you, phone.
Past couple days, I've been tempted to be like, I don't want to go to school today, but I've gone.
Good
so,
for you.
Yeah.
Way to power through. That semester's almost over, too.
So I wake up every night between 3 and 3:30 a.m., and I have for as long as I can remember. Anywho, I got up and went to the kitchen for a glass of water. The light switch to the kitchen was located behind the refrigerator. What? That's crazy.
I think it's like near the refrigerator, like the refrigerator hangs over. Probably a little bit. It's not like you have to move the fridge to flip the light switch, which is what I think you're thinking.
Well, it's just like you have to shove your hand back there and switch it. That's hard.
I wouldn't want to do that. And why? Because spiders could live back there. That's why.
So, light switch was in the kitchen behind the refrigerator, and I struggled in the dark to turn the light on, which is understandable. It's behind the refrigerator. While working on the light situation, I heard growling behind me.
Oh, hell no.
I thought it was my dog, Claire, a pug mix I got from the shelter. That's very sweet. I love shelter
Cool
dogs.
your jets, Claire.
I love shelter dogs, but I feel like a pug wouldn't sound that menacing if it growled. But then again, I don't have one. I'm not sure. Well, all I know is our Sheba, tiny dog, like 20 pounds. When she growls, it's not very intimidating.
It's adorable.
It's adorable, but it doesn't scare me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I said, Claire, it's just me, but the growling did not stop. I turned to tell Claire to shut up, but it wasn't Claire. I saw glowing red eyes coming from the ground, about the height where Claire's eyes would be. Standing in the darkness, still and confused, I watched the red eyes slowly move from the ground well past a normal human height. So it's these two red eyes that you think, okay, looks like dog size, and then it goes up to where it's like looking at you. That's frightening. That's super scary.
It's terrifying, I think is a good way to put it.
I stood there frozen for a moment before running back to my bedroom. Fuck the glass of water. I told my grandparents the next day, and of course they did not believe me. That was the start of the paranormal activity in that house that never stopped until I moved out. I have so many more stories. I hope you're freaked out. I'm sorry for my grammar issues, as English is my first language. Wait, maybe.
That's kind of funny. It probably isn't my first language.
Yeah.
Or they're actually just admitting, like, English is my first language and I'm not good at it. Who
Okay.
knows?
Also, I've had a few drinks for some courage to write this email. Aw, thank you so much. Love you guys, Madison. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Madison. I cannot believe, like, this one event was like the start of a whole line.
I want to hear about all the other ones
Yes.
now. So you need to sum up whatever liquid courage you need.
And did the grandparents ever experience anything?
That's
you know
a
what
really
I mean?
good question, too. I don't know how old you are now compared to then, but, like, that would be a fun conversation to have if you can have it. I know I can't have conversations with some of my grandparents anymore because they're no longer here. But that said, I don't want you to, I'm not saying, like, become an alcoholic so you can write us your stories, but I definitely want to hear more of your stories.
Yeah, we definitely want to hear more of your stories.
Because that's super effing creepy. Just saying, move your fridge. I talked to someone today, and they were saying that their fridge didn't fit. They bought a fridge that was like half an inch too long, and it like goes between marble countertops. And they're like, I have no idea what to do.
Return it.
I was like, probably just return
gotta
it. And she
return it.
said that they accepted it because they didn't have the energy to like install it. And so like if you accept it and you sign for it, they won't take it back after that because it's like you took it. And I was like, that can't be. Like, what if you plug it in and it doesn't work? And she's like, I don't know. And she said that her husband's idea was to just get his grinder and take off like half an inch of marble countertop.
On each side?
Yeah, or no, like a quarter inch off of each side so they could just barely fit it. And I was like, I don't know.
That's a smart idea.
Not a terrible idea, but it'll ruin your countertops.
Well, I mean, say your countertop was built where you have 2 inches of extra edge. I mean, it wouldn't be such a bad idea to just take off half an inch.
So I'm going to move on into my first email of the evening, and this one was sent on the website, and it is from our friend Absolution, and it starts out like this. Hello again, Robin and Adam.
Hello.
Hello. I'll just cut to the story, as I have 2 long stories for your podcast. I'm not very prone to sleep paralysis, but around the age of 16, I was rudely awoken with the intense feeling of dread and complete hopelessness. I had no control, no feeling, as if I were a corpse. I was laying face down like I always do, but it was as if I could see through the back of my skull. What I saw haunts me to this day.
What?
I saw a giant blurry / static shadow figure hunched over me with long drooping facial features, eyes, mouth, nose, etc. that were somehow darker than its outer figure. So it's like the eyes, the facial features themselves are even darker, so you can almost see the outline of them on the shadow. That's super creepy.
That's super creepy.
I could hear its deep guttural chuckle as if it was mocking my helpless state. As it finished chuckling, it lunged its mass at me, and I screamed internally and ended up in a trance-like state until I woke up in a cold sweat. I don't know what it was, but its presence felt familiar from my childhood. That's super creepy.
Scary.
A lot of people have the stories of like the shadow people like taunting them or harming them or whispering stuff in your ears. I don't know why I had this thought the other day that sometimes when something's sitting on your chest, they're like somehow protecting you or like making you invisible to other things that are like passing by like in the night. I just thought like maybe that's like a nice way we could think of stuff like that and try and not freak out. But in a lot of these cases, people say that it screams like a demon or whispers in their ear, says really, really haunting things. So if they don't do that, maybe they're just trying to like cloak you. Like think like Eye of Sauron looking around type shit, and they cover you and they're like, Eye of Sauron looks at you like, nope, just something dark there, moving on. So I'm just trying to make it a little bit not scary when you have something horrific like sleep paralysis happen to you.
Okay.
All right, the next story is an event that changed my life, and I hope someone learns from my mistakes. I think at this point I should probably say trigger warning. We were warned by my mom that one of these dealt with some very serious issues, but I don't think we had a mark on the email itself, but this sounds like it's going there.
Okay.
So I will continue. I was 18. I was just fired from my job and still had debts to be paid. I was also facing a miscarriage with my now ex-girlfriend. It's safe to say I was at the lowest point of my life, and my manic depression and suicidal thoughts pushed me to a point that I felt that I had lost all humanity left in my then broken soul. I, of course, attempted to end my life. So I'm glad that they're still around to write this email.
I'm glad you're still around because going through that's really, 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 really difficult. And sometimes people aren't that lucky.
So this is a good example of the fact that you can make it through. I'm just saying that that's not in the email, but I will continue on. I felt I was worthless and wanted to end the pain forever, so downed a bottle of pain relievers. I sat there crying and felt my insides screaming. I zoned out and awoke in a pure black room. There was a figure staring at me, and all concepts of reality, but pure terror and sorrow were gone. It said in a deep, disappointed, fatherly voice, "You're not dead or alive, nor are you dreaming. This is real, and you know that. What you feel right now is what awaits you behind the void if you continue to torture yourself with such bad thoughts. You are hurting those who care for you, and I want you to make things right." I woke up in a hospital bed, my brother and my mother leaning over me, holding onto my hand, crying. I felt sorry, not for myself, but for the ones who had to watch me die. I've since then recovered and have a new outlook on life.
That's really great.
That is really great because it's something where it's like you could be struggling immensely, and I don't think there's a lot of people out there who would like look down on you for admitting that you're struggling. And it's something where you should always know that even if people don't say it and you feel alone, that everyone does want you to keep moving forward. So it's really nice that you got a second chance because a lot of people don't get that, you know? And it's like just some people get to a point, and I had a friend that always used to say, like, anytime I got to a point where I was really, really low, someone would always call me or someone would always knock on my door or like want to hang out. And I thought when he told me that, like, what happens to people who don't have that? And those people are even stronger than everyone else because they decide on their own to keep going forward. And like, this is a really good example. Like, this is a decision where this guy made the wrong decision. or this person made the wrong decision and they got a second chance. And for those of you who didn't make the wrong decision and decided on your own to keep moving forward, you have two people like you might not ever talk to. You might not send us your story, but we're very, very happy that you made the correct decision and you keep moving forward. So the email goes on a little bit and it says, "Thank you for reading this, Robin and Adam. I'm sorry if I made you sad. And for all of you out there who are feeling like less than nothing or that there is nothing left for them, you're not alone and I care about you. Love, Absolution."
Thank you so much.
It's a really good email. So thank you so much for sending that.
Yeah.
And quick shout out to my mom for letting me know that one of these would need a trigger warning, because I know some of us are a little bit extra sensitive to that topic. And for those of you who decided to listen to it, I hope, I don't know, it's just something kind of uplifting, because every now and then we get super, super serious, super sad stuff. And it's nice to see that some of these things have a happy ending.
And I'm going to say, like, I've been in a dark place. I've gone through issues. There's points in time where I feel like I'm a failure, especially because I'm turning 30 and I'm still going to school. And I
just want to like break in really fast to say, like, you're not a failure.
Yeah.
It takes a very strong person to keep powering through, especially a very difficult major like you have.
So I try to keep myself busy, and I try to do or have hobbies, do other stuff. Like I used to in high school, I used to be like, oh, I'm going to kit myself, or even as a 24-year-old, I was still doing that. Like sometimes you just have to realize that you're not a piece of crap and life can be better. And now we have this awesome podcast that we get to share like our life experiences with you, and it's pretty cool. I like it. I mean, it's definitely helped a lot having such an awesome community, a really positive, inclusive community that we're not afraid of being a part of. So it's pretty neat.
You folks are clearly not afraid of talking to us about stuff that's deeply personal, and we appreciate it. And this is just an aside, and I always want to do these shout outs when they happen. Shout out to Dresden 10589, who just resubscribed for the
Thank
third
you so
month.
Much.
And they resubscribed in the middle of us reading a very serious story. And I think that's a really good example of what our community is like, where it's not something where there's a stigma attached to a lot of these things, where people like don't want to hear about it, or it's sad, or it's triggering, and they're like, I want to walk away from this. And I think having a safe place is a really good thing. And like, realistically, we're a comedy podcast where Robin and I say really, really stupid stuff while we do really deep research into paranormal stuff, and it's become a really safe place because of you folks. And because Robin has been very mindful of being as accepting to absolutely everyone as possible, and has made sure that I understand if I'm the type of person who's accidentally offending someone. Like, I'll offend people based off of stupid stuff. Like, I hate Packers fans. Not really. I just say that because I'm a big Bears fan. But I'm never, ever trying to go to a point where anyone feels excluded. And this is like, I was thinking about this earlier today when I was getting this thing ready. I was like, we are a podcast about paranormal stuff, and we've somehow become a sanctuary from all the really horrible, serious stuff in life, where people can come together from all walks of life and just sort of like relax and open up. And I think that's a really good thing, and it's because of you folks, and it's because of people that send in stuff like this. So
yeah,
that was a serious one, and we appreciate you sending it. And for those of you who ever want to reach out to us and talk to us, you can. It doesn't have to be right on the show. We had something this week that's like, hey, don't read this part, you can read this part, and that's totally fine. Storytime@scarish.com is our email address, and I'll go through all the other ones at the end of the show. You can go to scarish.com, has all of our social media links there too. So cool.
All right, so this one is Cat Beatrix's email, and
Cat Beatrix is watching right now, which is just super, super fun.
I hope you're still watching.
I really do too. Hopefully you haven't left yet. Like, you know what? I just decided I hate this podcast.
So this one goes, yo dogs, and Adam's mom, which is awesome because she edited these. And it's funny because she made a note and she's like, from Scary Mom.
So
I was like, that's the cutest thing ever.
That was her like editor's note for us.
Okay, so it goes, Happy Valentine's. Happy post-Valentine's to you too. It is now Happy Easter coming up in 3 days.
It's on Sunday.
3 days? 1, 2, 3.
5 days.
Five
she
days.
meant 5 days.
Wait.
For those of you listening the day this comes out, it's 2 days.
4 days. Oh, yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, 4 days. Whatever.
L2 count.
Whatever. You screwed up first. I don't want to hear it.
So, you can call me Kat. Hello, Kat. This email's taken me forever to finish and send. Started dumping thoughts in it this past autumn. Oh, that's cool. So it's like a draft and you kept editing it and adding to it, which is awesome.
Kat over there in the stream chat said, oh God, in all caps.
I'm finally sending it now since my coworker mentioned me in her Storytime email, which you read in Storytime 53 about the asylums. That is so cool.
Nice.
Thank you, coworker. Boom.
For those of you who have coworkers that you chat with and may also listen to podcasts, if you haven't already demanded they start listening to Scary-ish, I would suggest that you suggest that they absolutely have to do it. So just saying, we appreciate all of you who spread the good word.
It continues. Sup, Emma, sea turtle scientist. She's going to hate me.
That's so funny.
She wanted me to tell you that she apologizes for the unedited wall O text she was typing on her phone. On behalf of Emma, sorry, Adam's mom.
That's very nice.
That's
of
very
you.
nice. I would also like to apologize for any errors in my email. I'm sure it'll be fine. I wanted to edit this email before sending, but you'd never get it then. So, I listened to Welcome to Night Vale, which is a fun, bingeable pod you might like. We just started the David Tennant podcast, and I want to try and listen to Sword and Scale, but Sword and Scale is a little bit too serious for me, I think. But
I haven't listened to it enough to give a honest opinion about Sword and Scale. I think we just moved on to something else because we were kind of excited for the guests on the David Tennant podcast.
yeah, and what was the one that Liz just said?
The chick, I know her name and it's just blanking on it right now. She's like one of the greatest
Is it Tina
comedy
Fey?
writers of all time. Yes, it's
So
Tina
Fey's on
I was
the
gonna say,
the
she did
latest
Sarah
episode,
Palin on
so.
Saturday Night Live for like 4 years.
So I listened to Welcome to the Night on Spotify, and the algorithm led me to Scary-ish early last year when you just had a handful of episodes out. That is so cool to know how it works. So you listen to a certain podcast and it kind of shows you all the other topics that are similar. Right. That's amazing. I lost my place.
That's the Lost Your Place spooky ghost that joins us in the studio from time to time.
Initially, I held off on listening until later in the summer because I am a wuss.
Aww.
Luckily, we're not scary so much as just we rant and have tangents and talk about the most random topics. I don't know.
That's true.
I must say, this podcast is a great way to start the day. Yay! That's awesome. I am so happy to hear that. I had been trying to get up consistently early in the mornings, but I always hit snooze a bazillion times before getting out of bed.
I think we can all relate to that.
I did that.
There's some morning people out there that, like my mom, she's
up. She has to be up by 7 or something,
That's
right?
how I know that I am getting up early most of my days now, because I am up before her. Like today I got up and was cleaning up cat vomit, because that happens if you have a cat. And she came out of her room.
I was going to ask you this morning. I was like,
What's
what is
that
this stain on the floor?
I use stain remover too. Let's not get into it. I don't want anyone to start gagging when thinking of cat vomit. But yes, it was.
I'm just thinking
nightmare.
of a heaving cat. It's gross.
Let's not put that image in people's heads.
Okay.
Yet I'm not going to edit this out. If you're hearing this, you can blame me for that making it to the final cut.
So, I woke up one morning after my first alarm and sleepily decided to give it a try. That first episode was terrifying. Suffice to say, I didn't need coffee that morning. At first, I'd listen to one episode every other day. Then I got bolder and started binging it on Google Podcasts during my commutes between work and home, and basically anytime I had to drive. As of episode 60, the James Dean / true story of The Exorcist, I am all caught up and must wait for the next radio show the old-timey way of our grandparents' day.
That's funny.
I love binging podcasts that I fall in love with and just watch all of them, or not watch. I mean, I guess some. Like, you can watch My Mythical Morning and stuff, but listening to podcasts that I like the David Tennant one, we watched or listened to like 3 episodes in a row. I don't know. It's
just interesting. I mean, sometimes you find a podcast that's your cup of tea, and then it's really nice when there's a backlog, because you can just go and listen to like where it started and like all the episodes that you want to. Like sometimes you can skip them. Like I listened to what is it called, The Flophouse, and when I finally discovered The Flophouse, they were like 250 episodes in, and I was like, wow, there's a ton to get through. And I went back and listened to like It's a Bad Movie podcast. It's like one of the first, and I went back and listened to all the movies that I had already seen first. I didn't do it in any chronological order, and then I decided to start going through movies that I wanted to see but haven't yet, and that was just really fun. It's nice finding something that has a nice big backlog.
Did you put ice cubes in there?
I did put ice cubes in it because it was piping hot. I fetched Robin coffee before we started, and it was like I put it in a tumbler so I could run up the stairs, but before I did, I dumped a bunch of ice cubes into it because I was like, it'll be too hot and she'll burn her mouth, because I care.
I like it when it's like that. Anyway, I personally don't have many stories of my own, and they're not very scary. Just strange onesie-twosie occurrences. Feel free to share whichever you think is a good spooky fodder. We're going to read them all. This is it. It's going to happen. Here are my experiences with the Scary-ish in no particular order. Back when I was in middle school or high school, I once woke up to my mom checking my room. My mom still is, very overprotective, so this is just normal to me. My mom did the same thing. Even as a 27-year-old, she would come in and be like, wake up. It's 8. It's 9 in the morning. What the heck? You gotta be up. I'm I'm like, ugh.
It's like, I work nights. Like, get the F out of here. I gotta sleep.
I just groaned and pulled my comforter over my face to block the bright hallway light as my mom looked around my room, in my closet, and made sure the window and the door to our backyard were shut. In the morning, I went to make breakfast and my mom asked why I had screamed the night before. I have no recollection of this, but I always imagined that I sat straight up like a spring-loaded mummy accompanied by some comical sound effect, screamed, then flopped back down and continued sleeping. That would be so creepy if I screamed in the middle of the night and then I was just like, back to sleep.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
Bit.
It's just, that must have been so frightening, especially for a mom who's like, what the heck? But if you're not continuously screaming, it's not so bad. It's like, they must have seen a spider. You know what I mean?
Or they must have had a bad dream or something like that.
I don't know. I haven't done it, but I have woken up to different body parts in the air, waving like they just don't care. Like
you throw your hands up in the air sometimes? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, just the other week, I woke up with my arm, like, reached out to the ceiling. And when I woke up, I was like, weird.
It's better that is happening than you striking me, which has happened, like, a lot in the past.
I mean, I've dated a few people. I've punched almost all of them in my sleep. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what it is. I'm just very physical in my dreams. So I'll have a kung fu dream and I will punch you. It's just what happens.
A kung fu dream.
Yeah. Everybody's kung fu fighting.
I knew that's where you were going to go with that. I knew you were going to circle back to it as soon as you accidentally got past it with the wrong word. Yeah, I've been uppercutted very violently out of sleep, awake, and just had her be like, I tried to like get her off me, like, get the hell on your side of the bed. Like, this is like, I'm not cuddling you anymore. She's like, no. She knows she hit me too, but she insists that I can't move away.
I also kick. I've woken up with my leg in the air from like kicking or running or something like that, where you're running wakes you awake or wakes you up. You know, have you ever done that before?
No, I've seen the dogs do it a lot though.
I'm part animal.
The only thing that ever really happens to me is like sometimes I wake up because I need to pee, or I wake up and I'm standing over you holding a knife and I have no idea how I got there and I just put it back downstairs in the kitchen. So that's about it. It's pretty normal stuff, I think. So
cool. All right. Next part of the story. Memory is vague on this one. I think it took place either senior year, high school, or early college while I was visiting parents. One night, I woke up from half sleep and was completely lucid but could not move. I didn't have visions or hallucinations. Rather, the only unsettling part was the slight difficulty breathing. Another aspect of the experience I recall was that my body felt effervescent, in the way I imagine the sensation...
Wake me up. I know that's not the fucking word, but I don't know why. It just jumped in my head. Keep going.
I imagine the sensation of bathing in seltzer water or champagne would feel. That's hilarious. I feel like bathing in champagne would be it would be really weird.
Thing you could ever do.
But it's like not like a jacuzzi where it's big bubbles. It's just like you feel all this fuzzy like bubbles coming out.
I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to go buy the cheapest champagne I can find.
Fill the bathtub.
It would be like $1,000 to try and take a champagne bath.
No way.
Do you know how much you have to fill up?
Buy
a bath?
the super cheap bottles
how
like
cheap
$8.
Yeah,
champagne.
$8. You imagine taking an $8 bottle of champagne and pouring it into your empty bathtub, and tell me that you're not gonna have to do that probably 100 more times to fill up a bathtub.
That's only $800.
Correct. Let me get out my abacus. We can go through this.
All right, fine. You win. Whatever. Well, maybe you can buy a pallet of it and save money.
Yeah, like it'll be $600 instead.
Like cases of champagne, I'm sure are cheaper.
When we make it big, I'll be taking baths in Dom Perignon and I'll live stream it. I'll have my bits covered up, but I'll let you guys know how it feels.
No one wants to see that. All right. So I didn't panic as I was studying psychology and knew this is what the brain does. Theoretically, to prevent us from rolling around during sleep and falling out of trees. There's more to it than that, but I think of it that way. I managed to move a part of my body against another part, maybe a finger to scratch the side of my leg or something. I could feel the two parts come in contact and figured I wasn't paralyzed as I hadn't lost my sense of touch. Eventually, it wore off and I could move my whole body within a few minutes. That's my one personal experience with sleep paralysis. However, a guy once dated occasionally had sleep paralysis. He said he sometimes has out-of-body experiences and described it as like astro projecting, like in Insidious. We've not watched Insidious.
It's one of the few horror movies we have not seen.
But when I think of astral projecting, I think of, there's like an episode of So Weird about it.
What?
So Weird. It's a Disney show. It has a few people in it. I don't know.
Is Zaboomafoo in it?
Zaboomafoo is not in it. Though, if Zaboomafoo could astral project, that'd be amazing. Imagine just being like, oh, Zaboomafoo, my friend, you've come to me yet again.
I cannot imagine this because, I mean, it is imaginative because it's all fucking made up in the first place. I was just smacked. Everyone that's watching live saw it.
All right. At the
You're
time.
gonna wipe off my makeup. Stop.
At the time, life had me down and my mental health wasn't great. Insomnia was part of it, and I would lay in bed well past dark 100 just swimming around in my mind. One time, or perhaps this happened twice, I was pulled out of my thoughts when my ex started breathing really hard and sort of mumbling and twitching, but otherwise was unmoving, like he was struggling and suffocating.
Okay. I'm just picturing it. It started out weird, but now I understand what's going on.
Okay. I didn't know what to do except to gently shake him awake. Don't remember what exactly he described, but usually in his sleep paralysis states, he sees a frightful-looking hag or some dark figure standing at the foot of our bed. Seeing a succubus/incubus seems really common in folks with sleep paralysis, and I don't ever want to experience it. I'd be completely terrified, and I would lose my shit. And maybe punch someone, according to a friend. She's fine.
Your poor friend?
When you're sleeping, I feel like you don't punch as hard as you possibly can. You know, you could probably punch a lot harder. And if I really wanted to punch you,
do not.
It would hurt more than when I punch you in my sleep.
Well, when you punch me in your sleep, you're not aiming, so it's kind of a glancing blow. Although the uppercut was probably the most forceful uppercut I've ever had. And I boxed for like 3 years. So just saying, sometimes you hit really hard in your sleep. I think you were playing Street Fighter, but you were the Street Fighter in your sleep.
Jackie Chan just as Chun-Li.
He is so hot as Chun-Li. It's insane.
I love Jackie. Okay.
If you've never seen that video, but you know who Jackie Chan is and you know what Street Fighter is, Google Jackie Chan Street Fighter or Jackie Chan Chun-Li. I have no idea, but it is.
No.
He looks just like Chun-Li from Street Fighter, and it is hilarious. So just highly recommend that for you folks
also,
that have a second to,
little
to
Jackie
do some
Chan,
Googling.
Little Jackie Chan tidbit. Chris Tucker posted a stupid picture with Jackie Chan on, I think it was on his birthday, on Jackie Chan's birthday, and it was a picture of the two of them holding up 4.
As if they were going to do Rush Hour 4.
Rush Hour 4.
Rush Hour 1 was good. Rush Hour 2 was okay. Rush Hour 3 was not good. So it's like, if you're going to do another one, please do not make it just a cash grab because everyone's like, we could use some money.
I love Jackie Chan. I love Rush Hour. If they make another Rush Hour, I don't care if it's horrible. I'm watching it.
I know you will, but you don't even remember the third one.
Nope, I own it. Haven't watched it yet.
Wow.
I do that. I buy Black Friday, I'll buy Blu-rays and DVDs, and I just won't watch them until like 3 years later.
It's true.
It just, I mean, I have like all the seasons of DC Legends, and I haven't watched it yet.
It's also on Netflix.
One of these days. Anyway, next story. In one episode, I can't remember which, you talked about people supposedly dying mysteriously in their sleep because they had dreams in which they died. You covered that topic.
I think so.
Yeah. We've
had a lot of episodes. Sometimes we have to scroll back through our episode titles and see which ones we've already covered.
I say false because of the following story. In high school, I had a nightmare. It began with a view of a dilapidated lobby/foyer or foyer. I've heard it said both ways, and it's really confusing, and I don't know which one's proper. Of a 2-story house that was perhaps once grand and opulent. It's assumed that the viewer is participating in a tour group, and this building is one of the stopping points. Side note, for most of this stream, my perspective is like that of a viewer of a movie, or a passive third person. From the foyer, that's just how I say it, okay. The scene pans up to the second floor. In the transition, the interior becomes restored, a la Titanic movie magic. At the top floor, the camera pans into a brightly sunlit room. In the room, I, or the viewer, sees Hitler holding a little girl while standing by another man who sat playing a grand piano. All 3 look like they're having fun. Anyway, fuck them. Except for the little girl. She's innocent, maybe. Basically, they're not the stars of the story here. Cut back to downstairs in a different room, like a kitchen or a conventional modern McMansion. where a woman is talking to a little boy. It's assumed in the dream that the woman is Hitler's mistress and the kid is her son. It's cool because your mind makes those assumptions while you're dreaming.
You know the connection just by looking at people in the dream. Yeah, that's always pretty interesting.
Your brain is absolutely incredible and does incredible things, just saying. She says to her son something like, "It's time to take your poison," in a sing-song manner. Okay, so more like, "It's time to take your poison," which is really not her voice, but the way a parent might do when trying to get their reluctant kid to do something innocuous like eating their veggies.
Probably shouldn't call it poison then, just saying.
I don't know. I'm not a parent. So anyway, the boy says enthusiastically, "Okay, mommy." "You're gonna die, kid."
That's some next level Obi-Wan Jedi mind trick parenting right there.
At that, I ceased being a passive movie viewer and suddenly I was an unseen first-person character. The only way I know how to describe what happened next is that I dove/flew into the little boy in an attempt to save him. Instead, I became the kid, or I was still me, just having taken over his body, and just too late as he'd already taken the poison.
Well, that's a bummer.
I, as the kid, turned to run out this emergency exit that would be out of place in a McMansion, but normal in a non-residential building, the kind with the panic push bars. As I run toward the street, I shout, "I've been poisoned!" then collapse to where I stood by the curb. The end. Woke up with a tightness in my chest at about 3 a.m. and didn't fall back to sleep. Studying World War II in high school, world history definitely did not play any part in this. And what did I learn? Nazis. I hate these guys.
That's so funny.
I have been in a car that's driven off a cliff and landed in the ocean before, and I don't remember dying in it. I think we were swimming in the ocean trying to get to the shore, but I never died from those things. So I think I
don't buy the whole "if you die in your dream, you die in real life" thing, because I've died in my dreams multiple times. I've fallen from something and landed and hit the ground and felt like I splattered and just laid there and saw people freak out around me. I've been in gunfights before in my dream where I felt myself get shot in the head and collapse on the ground and then watch the gunfight play out, and people look at me like, "Oh, he's dead." And I just become basically a camera that's been dropped at that point until I wake up, and I wake up like I'm alive. So I don't remember which episode where we covered these myths, but that's definitely one that I don't adhere to. Where if you die in your dream, you die in real life.
I know I've had really sad dreams where my best friend growing up got we were both detectives or FBI agents or something, and she got shot, and I was like, "Oh!" I was so heartbroken. And then I woke up and I was like, "Thank goodness." Anyway, next story. My family and I moved into our condo about 2 years ago. Some low-key, weird, maybe creepy stuff happens there. Even my mom says she's noticed. You know it's bad when your mom's like, "It's haunted." This email's already long, so I'll have to continue some other time. If any spooky stuff happens here, like the lights over my stairs dimming twice by themselves as I'm heading to my room, I'll know who to call. Ghostbusters. Although I already suggested this to you on livestream once, I'll mention it again here. I hope you look into Vietnamese stories and folklore. Robin mentions being Vietnamese on many occasions, and I can totally relate to all the things. I agree, Asian scary stories are the scariest, and I think Viet lore would be a fun umbrella topic. I know of Onke. I don't have...
It's easy, Onke.
That's what I was thinking. Fuck. Who I liken to the boogeyman and Krampus from Western cultures because all three serve as cautionary tales. After overcoming some kind of funny language hurdles and asking my mom for details, I now know this much about the tale. Onke is supposed to be a frightening, grotesque male being. And my mom emphasized that he is neither a ghost nor spirit. Viet parents will tell their children about him so that they behave. My parents didn't say that to me. My parents were like, "I will kick you out of the house or I'll call the police." One time my mom was like, "You've been bad. I'm going to call the police and they're going to come pick you up, so you better pack your things." So my sister and I literally packed our entire closets in trash bags. We packed our whole closets in trash bags. Well, we're doing it reluctantly and crying the whole time. And my mom's just standing there watching us do it. And I'm just crying. My mom was insane. Oh my God.
The one thing I've heard you say before is that every grain of rice you don't eat is a maggot you'll eat in hell.
Yeah, my mom didn't tell us cool ghost stories like that. My mom was like, "I'm going to make horrible, horrible things happen to you." So the email continues. If children misbehave or don't go to bed when they're supposed to, Amke will come and eat them. This makes me think of the 19th century painting by Francisco Goya, Saturn devouring his son. I remember my mom alluding to him when I was little, but never explaining to me who Omke is or what happens when he shows up. My mom would just tell me that he'll show up if I don't take my nap. Like the little shit I was, I wouldn't nap. Beyond the sense of guilt I feel for being a brat and depriving my mom of needed sleep.
That's so funny.
You're not listening to this, but sorry, Mom. I'm sure there's more to it, just as I'm sure there are far creepier Viet stories like the Vietnamese version of Cinderella. What? I don't know any of these stories because I seriously grew up with my parents not telling me any stories except for my dad being like, you know what happened to me in the war?
Right, the war stories.
So that's a lot of the stories I had was stuff that happened to my mom during the war, stuff that happened to my dad, my grandparents and stuff during the war. But not the cool ones, apparently. I mean, I've heard cool stories, but you know. Anyway, I freaking love y'all and the Scary-ish fam. I've interacted with you on Instagram, YouTube, and recently Twitch. When I saw on Instagram that you were at Disneyland about 5 miles from my home back in early December, I got so excited only to be reminded by the fact that I still had a final to study for at the time.
Aww.
Hopefully there's a meetup in our future. Emma, sea turtle scientist, is so down. Depending on when you decide to do Winchester, we would totally drive up from SoCal since she has peeps up there. But downtown
June 9th,
Disney,
2019. It's a Sunday.
But downtown Disney, I could bike there if I had a bike. Either place, I'll be the person waving, flailing their arms in delight.
Aw.
Adam, I hope you find new employment by the time this is read. Woo woo, he has a new job now.
Yup.
I mentioned my mental health taking a nosedive earlier, and it was due to losing my job several years ago and being unemployed for a long time. So I completely understand how awful that can be. They don't know what they've lost, honestly. Keep going.
Fudge 'em. Killing it at my new job. They love me.
And Robin, keep being a boss. Both of you are amazing people. Thank you for prioritizing inclusivity and making your listeners feel so welcomed. Besides paranoia, I get the warm fuzzies listening to the pod and interacting with everyone in the Scary-ish community. Much, much love, Cat Beatrix. P.S. You seem to like anime and clearly the paranormal. In college, my friends and I watched one series called Ghost Hunt, which is about a team of young paranormal investigators, and some episodes are based on well-known stories and legends. I've mixed feelings about the show, but overall it tickles my fancy for horror. One string of episodes is based on a bit of both Elizabeth Bathory and Dracula, if memory serves me correctly. Pretty damn good. Another suggestion, Alice Isn't Dead seems right up your podcast alley. Same people who make Welcome to Night Vale. Maybe we should listen to those things. Oh, I mean, we're always looking for new stuff to listen to, so. And that is the end of the email. Thank you so much, Kat. That is awesome.
Thank you so much for sending that, Kat. We appreciate it.
So many good stories.
Don't feel bad about it being long. I wasn't saying that in a derogatory sense whatsoever. I was just like, wow, man, like they really put a lot of effort into this email.
Yeah.
We always tell people, like, send us your stories. If you want to break it up, that's fine. We had someone reach out to us this morning. And they're like,
Really?
Should I send them all? Or should I just send them in like bits and pieces? I was like, send them exactly how you want to send them. Like if you want to do chronological order, if you want to do length, like however you want to do it, if you want to do all one email, whatever works for you. But we thank you so much. And you're such an active member of the community and you make the community better by being in it. So the fact that the community is so welcoming is a direct result of you being in it. So thank you so much, Kat.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining us. Also want to shout out VietStud4 who just followed us on Twitch.
If that's you, what up, bro?
It's funny because it's like you were talking about your Vietnamese heritage and then all of a sudden it was VietStud4 followed us. And I was like, I don't think I have this thing tagged with anything about Vietnam. So they just came in at the perfect time.
I think it's my friend On. And if it is, hey. But yeah, that was super awesome.
Excellent.
Super great stories. Super cool, like having another Vietnamese person. It's awesome.
So I'm going to move into my next one. And this one's subject is hello. It's not spelled weird. That's just how I say it. And it starts out like this. Hello, Robin and Adam.
Hello.
Hello.
You gotta say it like Mrs. Doubtfire.
No, I refuse.
Hello.
That doesn't sound anything like Mrs.
I don't
Doubtfire.
know.
That sounded like a cat who was dying while Mrs. Doubtfire was on in the background. And of course, you have to make an even worse sound. It goes on to say, since we've only gotten through hello, my name is Rodney, and I would like to tell you two of the few creepy stories I have. Sharing this on the podcast would make me very happy. So here you go, Rodney. So let's start from the beginning. My mom's dad passed away when she was in her early/mid-teen years, so I had never met him. When I was a baby, we had a room where his picture was hanging up on the wall, and my mom and dad both say I would I would baby gab to it. I don't know what baby gab is. I guess it's just baby speak.
It's like baby gibber.
When
baby
like
gab.
babies just act like they're talking and they're really just talking to a painting. One day, they were in the living room when they heard a crash. They came running to where I am and they saw me sitting down in front of a wall, and the picture of my grandfather was right in front of me on the floor. That's
Wow.
creepy, and it's a really good thing that you didn't get hurt too. The second one is a lot more recent. One summer night, I was with 3 friends. In parentheses, one wasn't really a friend, just a friend of one of my friends. I like that we took time out to be like, just FYI.
We're not friends.
Fudge that one person. Yeah. Let's call them Sally, Christy, and August. So we were all staying at Sally's house, and 3/4 of us decided to go to the nearby park. In parentheses, I'm the 1/4. So I guess you're not going to the nearby park. After a while, I wanted to head back since it was very dark, and they told me about someone following them the night before in the same area. On our way, why would you go back to that park if someone followed you the night before?
Because you don't think it could happen twice.
No, it's just dumb. They're just being dumb at this point. So,
It's like,
and
what are
clearly
the odds of lightning hitting you twice?
There's a story about this. There's some guy who's been struck like 11 times. That's legit. That's real. Okay, I'll cover him in a different day. On our way back, we made a detour through the downtown area, and we ended up at the old jailhouse, which was very worn down. Christy and August began making jokes about spirits, while Sally and I, in parentheses, who are both Native American and definitely about the spirit world, kept telling them to stop because something might get mad and follow them. I'm pretty sure you can tell what's coming up next. I'm going to guess you all made it home safely, and that's the end of the story.
Someone gets abducted by aliens.
That would be a fun twist. We finally decided to
twist.
actually go back because we were a bunch of teens out past curfew. We got back, and I was exhausted, so I laid down and fell asleep. The other 3 headed back out because they wanted nachos. You can't blame people for wanting nachos. I want nachos now, too. They took forever, so I began to worry, and the only friend whose number I had left their phone behind. They finally came back, so I calmed down and fell back asleep. When I woke up again, I heard Christy and August freaking out because there was a rattling in the room that we could not see. Normally when that happens, it is because someone enters the house, but it was about 3 a.m. and no one was up besides us. When the door is slammed, the rattling only lasts for 2 seconds at most, and I was sleeping on the floor almost right above the door, so I would have heard/felt it.
But this was longer.
This is lasting longer, and no one had just come in. Sally woke up and was very annoyed that the other 2 were panicking and that something was in her room, so she yelled something along the lines of, "This is God's room, you are not welcome here," and it stopped. I'm an atheist, but I do believe that if you mention someone with power, it will affect spirits if they believed it as they were living. So kind of like whatever you believe, was your spiritual rules while you were alive or your spiritual rules when you're dead. I really like that. I think that's a smart thing. In parentheses, so I was sleeping under a cross also and was not moving until the sun came up. I know what you could be thinking, and then in quotes, maybe it was an earthquake, but I looked it up and there was no earthquakes near us at that time. The strangest part is that August and I heard the rattling from one side of the room while Sally and Christy heard it from the opposite side. Thank you for reading my stories. If you get to them, we did, and you're welcome. I'm terribly sorry for the crappy writing. It was fine, or my mom edited the crap out of it. But I do want to send more stories of haunted places I've lived in, and possibly Sally's stories from the reservation if she is okay with it. We would be
that would be so
absolutely
cool.
okay to get it. I would love to get stories from the reservation as well. I don't really have a whole lot of Native Americans in my life. I used to know some back in Northwest Indiana when I lived there, but I haven't talked to them in a while. So it would be really great to get some of the stories from that culture.
My aunt is Native American, and I don't think she's ever shared any of those types of stories with us.
Sounds like it's time to go asking
Yeah,
about
I
them.
should ask her.
Don't pry too much if you know someone doesn't want to give you that story, but if someone just doesn't broach that subject, you can go ahead and be like, "So you got any creepy stories? I've been listening to the podcast." The email wraps up, "One of my stories even involves my fur baby, and I will send a picture of him when the time comes. Thank you for your time and patience. Keep on creeping on, Rodney." Rodney, thank you for
so
sending that in.
much.
It was really, really, really good. A lot of times when stuff happens to you when you're in groups too, it's like everyone experiences the same thing but reacts completely differently. Like some people get super, super scared.
It's hard to believe it happening to you, though, when you're in a group, because you think you're in a group setting, things
You must be
can't
safe.
go wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're going to be safe. And
'Cause
then
everyone thinks their
demons start
strengths-
taking you apart one by one.
Everyone thinks there's strength in numbers, which, for the most part there is. Because if you're with other people, you can reason stuff out a little bit easier. But that doesn't change the fact that that exact thing isn't that something is happening to you whether or not you're with other people.
There's an episode of Buffy.
I knew it. I saw the Buffy look on your face.
There's an episode of Buffy where they go as a group to a haunted house. They go as a group, but this house just somehow pulls them apart one by one.
Doesn't it feed off of Buffy and that one dude boning? Or is that
no,
a
that
different
is a different house. Different episode. Different season altogether, I'm pretty sure. No. You might be right.
I am right. Boom, Buffy knowledge. You're welcome.
No.
You've been Buffyed.
It has to be a different episode, though, because the episode with the haunted house, someone puts blood onto the symbol that they draw on the floor. It's not the house drawing energy from them. The one where Buffy's banging some dude, Riley, really. It's a whole bunch of ghost kids in it. And I think they take the energy from
I barely remember most of what happened in that series at this point, to be honest with you.
I don't know. Anyway, I
just tossed one out there and hoped I was right. So
yeah. Anyway.
But thank you for sending that in. That was a really good story, Rodney. And please send stories in, especially from Sally. If they are okay with it, we would definitely appreciate it. So good stuff. I used to go Scooby-Dooing and doing stupid shit like that with my friends too.
I never did.
A lot of times nothing would happen. I will say, I've mentioned this before on the podcast for those of you who haven't heard it or are new to the podcast and haven't listened back yet. My friends and I were playing with a Ouija board one time when I was, I think, on college, maybe my first year of college. We were at my friend's house. We were listening to the radio, playing with this Ouija board, and everyone was messing with it and like spelling out stupid, raunchy, dirty stuff. And at some point we asked it, like, all right, everyone get serious. Like, no one messed with it. Like, is there something with us right now? And we all put our fingers on it, and it moved to yes slowly. And when the planchette circle or the glass or the window or whatever settled on yes, the radio, which was like perfectly clear, went to complete static. Like instantly it was like shh. And when that happened, everyone just sat back. No one said a word. I got up, I walked over to the radio, I turned it off, and I walked over and I poked the window out of the planchette. We said goodbye. I poked the window out of the planchette. I folded the board up, I put it away, and we never fucked with it again. And my friend, who was like spiritual at the time, like he did this thing. And it always, to me, it reminded me of Tien from Dragon Ball Z when he's doing like his super attack. But he basically made his hand into a triangle and dangled a crystal like in the open space and was like, the energy's clean here. And in my head, I was like, I want to punch you in the face so fucking bad right now. But I tried to be accepting of his ways.
You should have just stood behind him, been like this, and hoped a beam came out of your hands and just took him.
What I did was yell solar flare and blinded him and ran away.
Yes.
But I didn't hit him with a destructo disc because I didn't want him dead. So I'm a good friend like that.
I love Krillin. He's like my homes.
Tien and Krillin were a badass combination. So all right.
Chaozu's the best though.
Chaozu's kind of creepy to me. I'm not a big fan of Chaozu, I won't lie.
I literally got Adam a little Chaozu figure.
When we first met.
Because Chaozu's my fave. And
I set him on my desk and he stared at me every single night. And I'd wake up and he'd be on my chest. And I was like, you're only here because of love. I want you to know that, Chaozu. I think he's somewhere around still. I don't know. I'm looking around at all the spots. I don't know where. Stuff. All right.
I think he's gone. We
might have talked to your microphone.
We might have gotten rid of him.
I wouldn't have gotten rid of that Chaozu. It's one of the first things you got me, so it's somewhere.
This is my last email of the night, and it goes a little something like this. Hey guys, my name is Zia. I never know how to start these. Hi Zia. I never know how to start these, but I just started listening to your podcast and I like your homegrown horror specials. Oh, thank you. It's really nice to hear that because we've gotten a lot of feedback from other people where it's like, we don't really like the Storytime episodes. Yeah.
Type of stuff.
So it just depends. I know when I first started listening to My Favorite Murder, I didn't listen to the mini episodes or the minisodes. I only listened to the topic episodes. So I was in that boat, but now I've gone through, listened to all the minisodes and stuff like that.
I really like, if this was a podcast, and I think the reason why we made this podcast is because we couldn't find anything like it at the time. But I like listening to other people's stories. Like, that's one of my main interests, which is why I'm so happy so many of you send them. Because, I mean, to be perfectly frank, the act of recording these things is not stressful, but it's a lot to do. And I wish that we had some setup where I could literally just sit and listen and enjoy and not have to worry about marking dead air or just listening from a producer standpoint. I wish I could just be an active listener. So that's why it's so nice to read them. Because then I can I'm actually enveloped in the things that I'm listening to. So yeah. Thank you so much for everyone who sends these. I'll let you get back to it.
So I live in Utah and I love paranormal stuff and I have plenty of stories. I have one of my own that is pretty crazy, so I'll just dive right in.
Shout out to the Snark, who just resubscribed for the 7th month.
Thank you so
sorry
much.
I haven't been around. I'm so happy to see you two beautiful people again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Snark. We will see you next weekend.
Yeah,
and
next
maybe we'll
weekend.
grab some food or something like that.
Yeah.
We might have a rather large group. I know that it's going to be me, you, probably your sister, I always forget the name of their
Do you
thing.
just call them the twins?
I say the twins in my head, but I don't like saying that out loud.
Jess and Jen.
I don't know why it sounds derogatory to say the twins, but it's probably because that's where Walder Frey lives, and I hate that guy. But yeah, so anyone who's out there for Level Up Expo, it'll be so nice to see you folks.
Yeah,
So
it'll be fun. All right, so diving right in. I used to live in a 5-bedroom house where 3 of the bedrooms were downstairs in the basement. Why? I'm just like, I would not buy this house. Like, I can't even imagine having 3 of the 5 bedrooms in the basement.
Unless you have 3 kids and you're like,
So
you guys get to sleep with the demons.
Well, I'm imagining a 1-story home where it's 2 bedrooms on the 1 story, and then the basement you can make however big you want. So they have a huge basement, and they put all the bedrooms in the basement.
At that point, if you get too many bedrooms in a basement, I think it's just called a dungeon at that point, unless it's furnished.
Are there also dragons?
Why would there be dragons?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, I'm just in such a Game of Thrones mindset right now that I was like, how do dungeons relate to dragons? I'm ashamed of myself.
My sister has started watching Game of Thrones too.
She has so many questions.
So many questions because she's jumped in at season 7. So the only season she's ever watched is season 7, a couple episodes of season 1, and the first episode of season 8. And so she's watched it and she's like, what? Why is that? I don't understand. Why is this character? I don't like how that death happened. And I'm just like,
it's like, well, this wasn't like cathartic enough. I didn't like this resolution. It's like, watch the first 6 seasons and you'll get it. So, okay, let's jump back into this email.
The house we knew was already haunted. Our stereo would turn on at any given time and you would see ghosts, but they usually weren't bad. Except for my room. Of course it's your room. That's like the one with the bad ghost.
That's why you're the one emailing us. So actually it turned out for the better.
It was in a super creepy spot. It was between our stair crawl space and our abandoned cellar-like room. So it was a cellar-like room. At times you could hear things coming from the creepy cellar room, which we didn't even put our storage in because how creepy it was. So this room was just so bad juju that it was just nobody touch it. We're not even going to put stuff in it. It's just no.
Maybe it's just because we have such limited storage in our home, but I can't imagine not using storage space just because it's creepy. I'd be like, this is so creepy. Let's only keep the stuff we don't care about in there.
We used to have a room under the stairs in my childhood home, and we would hang out in there in the dark because I had a little light up pad that you could change the outfit of characters on there, and you could put paper over it and then draw their clothes and outfits.
That's
and stuff.
super cool.
So we would be in the dark and would draw on the little light up pad. My room's door was off the hinges, but I would still use it like a normal door. I would put it in the door frame at night so I wouldn't see any scary ghosts from the crawl space. There's something you have to know before I continue, or it just sounds easily debunked. The house was old, so when the door was in the door frame, you would have to pull the door hard in order to open it back up again. Okay, back to the story. So sometimes when I closed the door, I would start walking to bed and my door would fall on my back and I'd get bruises from it. Okay, so place the door on the hinge. Don't put the actual bolt through the hinge. You sit it on there. And it's so hard to move. If it kept falling, it's like something really had to push it really hard for it to fall.
Get a bolt. Problem solved. The battle is over.
Okay. So I became smarter and made sure that the door was securely closed before going to bed. But still, somehow the door would attack me and I'd be bruised up again. I just brushed it off as if it's a door not on its hinges and I suck at closing doors. But then my mom started dating this guy who would go ghost hunting. Him and his crew wanted to investigate our house, and we said yes under one condition, which was I got to be part of the investigation. We investigated my room, and it seriously creeped me the fuck out.
That's pretty cool.
They had those lights that the ghosts can play with, and we had a recording machine and a couple other cool gadgets. We sat in my room and tried to communicate, but nothing was happening. So they were like, Zia, you should try to communicate. And I was like,
they're using you as a guinea pig in your residence and where you live. That's just not right,
where
man.
you sleep.
Yeah, that's messed up. It's like, no, it'll be fine. We're recording it, and then we'll leave, and you'll stay here with whatever happens.
So they were like, Zia, you should try to communicate. I was like, okay. And sure enough, we got some communication.
That's like people like visiting your house being like, it's cold in here. Can we start a fire in your living room? Why don't you light it? And it's like, how about no?
I asked if the ghost could yell into the recording machine as loud as it could, but instead the guy right by me who had hearing aids, his hearing aid had like a loud scream in it that we could hear, and it startled him and made him throw his hearing aid out of his ear. Then my mom's boyfriend at the time was like, touch the light if you're still here, and it did. And that asshole asked the ghost to touch the light if it liked me. It didn't. So he said,
Wow.
touch the light if you don't like Zia, and that thing lit up. That's bad. That's so bad.
I'd be like, touch the light if you want me to punch him in the face.
It's like
get
watching the BuzzFeed Unsolved, where they're like, Shane. I think Shane is always the one that's like, get me, come and touch me. And then I gained the courage to ask the ghost if it was the one pushing the door on me, and it said yes. So I was like, nope. We finished the investigation and went to do a couple other things that had activity, but that's for another story. That night and for a couple of days, I didn't sleep in my room because I was too scared.
How could you at that point?
Yeah,
That's
how
terrifying.
Could you? Finally, I gained the courage to sleep in my own bed again, but you guessed it, the ghost is an asshole. I'm in my room minding my own business when my blanket, used as a curtain, was pulled down. So it's not the door anymore. Instead of having the door up on the hinge, it's like they're deciding to put the blanket up instead,
right,
to make a door. Okay. And it got pulled down 3 more times. So I finally called my sister in, and we sat there until it pulled the blanket down again. We both put the blanket back up on the wall, on the nails, and you could see the blanket trying to be tugged down again. Me and my sister were so freaked out, but I was not leaving. So we both yelled at this ghost to leave, and it finally did. So yeah, that's one of my ghost stories. Hope you guys enjoy reading it. If you ever want more, just let me know. Thank you so much, Zia, for your story. That is absolutely crazy. Ghosts can be assholes.
We definitely want more, too. So please send in the rest of them if you have more. We're definitely interested in hearing them, especially since you teased it and you're like, but that's a story for a different time.
Yeah.
Because it gets really interesting when you folks leave us basically a to be continued or a spinoff. Like, those are my prequels, though. We'll get to those later. This is episode 4. So that's a Star Wars reference for those of you who didn't know that. And I hope most of you understand that. So except for Liz, who's never seen them.
Episode 9 coming out.
Yeah, it's a good trailer.
So
although
excited.
I could have done without the backflip. It looked a little bit cheesy, but that's for a different podcast. So yeah, I'm very excited. Not really. I'm trying to temper my expectations.
Excited.
I was super excited for Last Jedi. I saw it, and I didn't think it was the greatest movie in the world, and I didn't think it was the worst movie in the world. And I'm like one of the only people who was just like, it was okay. I liked things about it, and I didn't like things about it. And everyone that I talked to about it was like, it's the most amazing movie ever. And then the other people were like, it's fucking horrible. How can you like it?
It's good, but it's not Star Wars good. It's like you have a higher standard because it's a Star Wars movie. You know what I mean?
I had a higher expectation because I did like Force Awakens, and like, I don't know. Let's not go down this huge rabbit hole. I will say that I have hope for episode 9. The fact that it's called The Rise of Skywalker.
Do you have high hopes?
I have high hopes for a living. But the fact that it's called that is definitely intriguing, and I think it's the right decision to bring J.J. Abrams back to be like, let's wrap up.
Is that the guy with the lens flares?
Yes, to bring Mr. Lens Flare back to wrap up 9 movies in one and basically just be like, all right, let's close off this saga. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and move into the final email of the show, and this one came to us on Facebook, and it starts out like this. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Just started listening to your show a week or so ago, and I left another podcast completely behind because y'all are way better.
I'm so happy to hear that. I mean,
I'm not happy. That sounds really sad for the other podcast.
It's bad for the other podcast, but I'm happy that you have found us and you enjoy our company.
Yes, that is the best way to put it. It goes on to say, there's so much to tell you guys. First of all, I love the way y'all talk to each other. Well, thank you, because sometimes I feel like we might be mean to each other. Your banter with each other reminds me of how some of my very best friends interact. In parentheses, they're married. Felt like that needed some clarity because it might be weird for me and a group of friends to just be hilarious and adorable with each other. Yeah, sometimes you're adorable with your friends.
Yeah.
You guys are adorable and hilarious, and it makes me feel like I'm surrounded by my friends when I listen to y'all. I think that's the exact vibe we want to kick out. Have you ever seen that meme where it's like how I feel when I listen to podcasts?
Oh, and he's...
It's some dude laughing next to a poster of 3 people laughing. Like, I want you to know that if we're that poster for you, we are laughing with you.
Yeah.
So it goes on to say, okay, buckle up. I'm giving you guys my most recent event. My sister, 7 years younger than me, and I are empaths. On top of that, we have an insanely deep connection. It freaks us out sometimes. We often end up wearing the exact same outfits as each other.
That is cute.
Not having planned it that way.
I think that's adorable.
When she was pregnant, before she even knew for sure, I started getting morning sickness. Wow, that's crazy that you got it when she was pregnant. I started getting morning sickness when she was pregnant. If her daughter was particularly active, I would feel flutters in my stomach. Even if we were across town from each other, I'd feel something and text her if the baby was being a jerk right now. That being said, I had a dream a few months ago. I woke up in my bed and my ex was standing in my doorway. I asked him what he was doing and reached for my cell that was at the foot of my bed. I had my hands on the phone when he grabbed my hair and smashed my face on the floorboard of my bed. So I was hoping that this was a dream. Yes, it's a dream. They said it was a dream. I'm really hoping
what?
This is something that actually happened.
Trigger.
Yeah, I'm going to get triggered really fast here. So this is a dream. In this dream, they had their face smashed on the footboard of the bed. Okay. He proceeded to thoroughly kick my ass. All the time, I'm fighting to get my phone and call for help. I managed to get the phone in what I can only explain as dream magic, which is hilarious because I think we all understand sometimes dream magic happens. Like when you are one place and then you blink and everything changes. Anyway, I got my phone and called my sister. I was screaming into my phone, "He's going to kill me. You have to get the black bag under Dad's bed and come here now." She laughed a little and said rather calmly, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then in parentheses it says ex-husband's name, so they're not giving the name of the ex-husband. So blank is here right now and is trying to kill me. Get the bag and come help me, please. She laughed again. So I'm pissed now and sobbing and begging for help. She goes, "Sissy, take a big breath. I'm going to say something to you and it's going to sound weird, but it might help you, okay?" So she gets me to breathing normal and says, "Please don't freak out. Wake up." When I woke up, I was sitting on my bed, phone in hand, pressed to my ear, and I hear my sister talking to my niece, in parentheses, newborn. I was so confused, and she was exhausted. It was around 2:30 to 3 a.m., of course it was.
That's crazy.
So we went back to bed and
cool
talked
story.
about it the next day. In my dream, I was screaming and just a mess, but she said I was just talking to her like normal. We both agreed that Dad did not have a black bag under his bed. I was wondering if there was like a shotgun, or severed head of Medusa to turn the dude to stone. But he didn't have a black bag under his bed, but thought it would be fun to check. My sister lives with my parents, so she goes to check, and there's a motherfucking bag.
What was in it?
She pulls it out and opens it, and it's his gun.
Holy fudge pops.
I got cold chills. We had no clue he even had a gun, let alone that he kept it in a black bag under his bed. So yeah.
Shut up.
To sum it up, my sister and I are empaths who are also very clearly connected to each other, and she helped pull me out of a nightmare. That is super creepy. Then they say, "Fuck, this is long. Not sorry. One more thing, because this will inevitably make Adam think of Freddy Krueger. When I was young and watched these movies with my older brother, for the first time, it scared the fucking shit out of me, and my mom was pissed at my brother for letting me watch it, so she told him to fix it. He told me that Freddy likes Earl Grey tea. When he pops into your nightmare, you know it's a dream, and you have the power. Offer him some Earl Grey tea and ask about his day." It totally worked. So I guess I've got that lucid dreaming thing covered too. Bam. I also sleep eat. That's rough. Because if you're like really on a diet and you've been really good about your calories and you fall asleep and then you're
your subconscious is like, "I'm freaking hungry."
Your body just like fills you up. You're going to be like, "Damn it, man." It finishes out saying, "You can definitely share this on your show, but change my name to Tallulah or something, because let's face it, it's all weird as fuck, right? Love the show. Robin is adorable. Heart.
Thank you so much.
So
I love this story so much because I have sisters, and I think my younger sister and I have a connection to sometimes I freak out over nothing because I'm just a worry wart and like just freak out like something has to be wrong if she doesn't answer her phone. But I just love that story so much. It's so good. It's just so good. Story. And the fact that it's like, there's a freaking gun in there.
Yeah, we were like, I dreamt of this thing. Oh my God, you're so silly. Holy shit, there's a gun.
Yeah,
so
holy crap.
Good stuff. That was an excellent email. Thank you so much for sending that in to Lula. Yeah. We really, really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for everyone who sent in their stories this episode. They were so great, and they were so fun to read, or very heartfelt to read. And we appreciate all the time you take out of your days to sit down, type these out, and let us share this with the rest of the Scarish community. If you have a story that you haven't sent in yet, any of you spooky friends out there, send it to us at storytime@scarish.com. or go to scarish.com, and we actually have a form. You just type it all in there and it emails us for you, so you don't have to worry about that.
Just click on contact us and it'll send it our way, and then there's the other things they can do. You want me to read them because I have it like imprinted on my brain, or do you want to give it a shot?
You go, Gur.
Cool. You can go to facebook.com/scarishpodcast and message us there. You can also go to Instagram, which is @scarishpodcast. You can tweet at us @scarishpod. And if you want to join our communities that are pretty active and talk about things, not just scarish, but fun and stuff like that as well, go to scarish.com and you can find all of our social media links. Our Discord link is there, but just find the logo and click on it. Or you can join the Scarish Spooky Friends group over on facebook.com/scarishpodcast. Miss Deezy is watching live right now, and you can do this thing when you watch live where you earn like points for watching us, like loyalty points. We call them souls, and she has enough souls that she was able to cash them in and redeem something called Ask a Question. That question is, why do you allow Glitch to cheat? ? GG Squad and a heart. Glitch is, of course, one of our most faithful listeners. He did not win. I'm just saying, when we did marbles on stream tonight, so maybe he just finished ahead of Miss Deezy, and she's a little bit salty about that. But there's just nothing we can do if he has the cheat codes. If he hacked our mainframe, that's it. Just is what it is. So thank you to everyone who joined us live. If you folks would like to join us live, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Wednesday over at youtube.com/scarish. Most times, or twitch.tv/scarishpodcast.
You guys get to see what we look like and how we actually interact, and my ridiculous hand gestures, and I make way more noises and hums and different songs that I
you get to see all the stuff that hits the cutting room floor, like if that makes it sound good. And we also give away some free merch at the end of the night through a contest we run every single time we do this show. So for those of you who actually listen to the outros and have never watched us live, it would be a good thing to do next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we hope to see you then. And thank you to everyone who sent their emails. Robin, for those folks who are like, I want to give them some money, how can they do that?
So if you go to patreon.com/scarishpodcast, those are a monthly donation system where we have a whole bunch of different tiers starting at $1 and up. We are super busy, but I promise we will add more exclusive content to Patreon. I just decided on what sticker is going to be the new sticker I'm going to send out next month for our Badge of Honor tier and up. And then every season I have a special badge that I design, and then I hand make them all, and then I mail them out. And we just, everything you guys do supports us and helps us out. And then we have ko-fi.com/scarishpodcast, and those are one-time donations, and everything there helps us upgrade our studio setup. So if you have watched us from our little baby stages, you'll see that not only have we both grown, you literally see us grow. You'll
Maybe
see
Robin's hair and my double
hair
chins
grow.
have grown.
Yeah.
So Glitch Grim redeemed Ask a Question, and he said, I have to point to Miss Deezy. LOL, thanks, guys. GG Squad. So nice little rivalry there in the chat. Also, Cat Beatrix over on our stream chat said, will this be up on YouTube? I missed some bits this time around. For those of you who can't join us live, this is always on YouTube. As long as the stream happens, it will be up on YouTube in perpetuity forever and ever. And you can go there and check it out at your leisure if you would like to join like the live experience, but not exactly be able to interact with us directly. I think you can even still see the chat that comes through on YouTube and the timestamp for when it came through. So
cool.
Feel free to go over to youtube.com/scarish and check it out. And I think that's just about everything that we got for this episode.
Yep. Come see us next week, Level Up Expo. We'd love to see you.
Yep. Robin's going to have a table there, and I will be there on Saturday and maybe Sunday. Friday I work, but we'll see what happens with that. We hope we can see as many of you folks as possible. So we know we're going to be seeing some of you. It'll be super fun. So cool. I think that's just about everything that we have for this episode. So Robin, go ahead and sign us out.
Keep on creeping on, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.